Hello everyone. This story is about, what if Naruto was raised by the ANBU and fall in love with Ino? He is very strong and smart, being a fuinjutsu genius and trained by the ANBU commander Ryo. Please like, share and subscribe for more amazing stories like this one. Now let's start. Jichan. It was yet another unusual morning for the Sandaime Hokage. His peaceful morning ritual of 3 cups of hot tea and a nice smoke in his office was becoming sparse and few in between. Before the water could even boil, the old man was greeted by the bouncing heels of his ever-energetic grandson. The little ball of sunshine had shattered the foggy morning peace in an instant, and the Hokage could only light his pipe with a sigh, surrendering to his desk and another long day ahead. Naruto, started the raspy voice of the elder, please, slow down. The boy settled a little, grinning at his grandfather. Sorry, but I need to show you something. Clearing his throat, Hiruzen grunted, what is it today? I think I've figured it out. Naruto ran behind the Hokage's desk, happily grinning as he laid his work on the wooden table. Sarutobi tried to get a head start on understanding the seals before him, but perhaps it was the early morning or his complete lack of caffeine. But seeing the complicated contraption on his desk made him want to hurl. Quietly sighing, he relented to let the boy explain himself. I've been studying the qualities of chakra, particularly my own. Naruto finished laying out his display of papers and turned to face the Hokage. I didn't understand how memory could be transferred between my clones and myself. It implies that memory could be stored in chakra, or at least could be experienced through chakra, but more importantly, in today's case, it implies a connection between one person's chakra over separated distances. Hiruzen nodded, yes, there is a connection between one person's chakra. No matter how far apart two portions of the same chakra source are, one reacts to the other, despite the distance. It is the entire basis of the Kage Bunshin as well as many long-range jutsu. He puffed on his pipe before continuing, my sensei, the Naidame, studied this phenomenon thoroughly. He discovered that one person's chakra is always connected, regardless of distance, which is why no matter how far a Kage Bunshin could be from the original can disperse it at will. Exactly. Naruto excitedly pointed to the 2 pieces of paper on the desk. These 2 pieces of paper are made from a special kind of wood. Tenzo and I got them for me. They are similar to the chakra nature testing paper, but instead of reacting to the elemental natures of the chakra, they merely absorb the chakra into it. When you use chakra to touch this kind of paper, the chakra is absorbed into the point of contact, the absorbed chakra imprints a mark. You can basically write on this paper with chakra. The Hokage nodded, I see. These 2 pieces of chakra-absorbing paper are lined edge to edge with a single storage seal, stretched from corner to corner. It functions the same as the chakra battery I invented a while back, it only stores chakra. Naruto then held up a blank, paperless scroll. This paper is meant for this scroll, which is also specially made. The roll in the middle was engraved with a chakra expansion seal, the same one I use in my security system. When the special paper is rolled into the scroll, they combine their functions. How so? Asked the old man intrigued. The chakra expansion seal activates the storage seal on the paper, and it forms into a sheet of chakra that lays on top of the paper. Not touching the paper, but hovering a millimeter above the paper. It basically forms a layer of chakra on top of the paper like a hovering blanket, and the expansion seal holds it in place as a sheet. This is a very simple form of chakra shape manipulation, shaping the stored chakra into the same dimensions as the paper. Alright, I'm following you so far. Naruto smirked, now I'll roll this paper into the scroll, making the system complete. He then took out another scroll, this second scroll is identical to the first. They both share the exact same dimensions with the exact same seals applied to them, and each storage seal contains equal amounts of chakra inside them, they are twins. Lastly, the chakra I sealed inside the storage seals is a mixture of my and Kakenai's chakra, 50-50s. Now watch. Naruto opened both scrolls and they both activated with a soft glow of blue over the white blank paper. Unseen by the pairs of naked eyes, a thin layer of chakra covered the chakra-absorbing paper, just floating a millimeter above the paper surface. These 2 pools of chakra are connected and react to each other. Naruto drew a sharp breath as he dragged a finger along one piece of paper, so when I drag my finger along the piece of paper, I am pushing the layer of chakra into the paper, imprinting the paper with the trail of my finger. Basically, I am writing on it with chakra, and when I write on one, its twin reacts in the same way. Hiruzen watched in awe as Naruto drew a smiley face on one scroll and an identical smiley face manifested on the other scroll. This is a communication system, exclaimed the boy loudly. Whatever I write on one scroll will immediately appear on the other scroll. I've done many tests with these. Even if one scroll is closed when I write on the other one, the chakra reactions are sent to the other scroll like memories. The next time I open the closed scroll, the same writing will appear immediately. The Hokage watched as Naruto closed one of the scrolls before adding a hat to the smiley face of the still open scroll. When he opened the closed scroll again, in an instant, a hat appeared on its smiley face. This system transfers and stores messages between two scrolls in real time. It functions similarly to Kage Bunshin, two separate chakra systems using the same source of chakra reacting to and replicating the effect of external stimulus. Naruto smiled at the stunned old man. These two scrolls are for me and Kage and I, which is why the chakra sealed inside them is a mixture of ours. As long as the chakra mixture is unique, they will only react to each other. So, managed the Hokage, if you make a pair of these scrolls with my and your chakra, they will only react to each other because of the unique mixture. The fact that your chakra is also in other scrolls won't matter because the mixing of chakras would have fundamentally changed the chakra's nature. Writing in your and Kakashi scrolls will not also send a message to your and my scrolls. Yes, exactly. Mixtures of chakra are unique, including the ratios of chakra mixed. Kage and I can have more than one pair of these scrolls, just as long as the mixtures are different. This prototype contains a 50-50 mix of our chakra, so if I make one with a 60-40 mix, it will be unique enough to make another scroll. Conversely, if you make 10 of these scrolls and they all only contain your chakra, writing a message in one of these 10 scrolls will show up in all 10 scrolls. Yes, that's right. And Naruto, do you realize what this means? Wait, I'm not done. Naruto pointed to the scroll. Look what happens when I deactivate the chakra expansion seal. Once the chakra is not being held in place by the expansion seal, the storage seals will automatically absorb the chakra back into them, including the chakra absorbed into the paper. So once the system deactivates, whatever is written on the paper will be erased. The Hokage's jaw slacked. So, this one piece of paper can be reused over and over again. There will be no trace of what was written on them either. Hiruzen placed his hands on the boy's shoulders and looked him in the eyes. Naruto, do you realize what you've done here? This could revolutionize our entire communication system. Forget about messenger ninjas or delivery birds. This will become the new way of communicating on missions. Teams miles away from home could contact us in real time. This will change absolutely everything. Naruto stared at the old man as he continued to babble. Had we had something like this during the last war, we would have outmaneuvered every other nation. We would be able to plan far-flung logistics that the enemy would never even dream of being able to do. Recon missions would become instantaneous. Our spy network could expand tenfold. And none of our spies would even need to report in person. All they'd need is one of these scrolls. Their chances of being discovered would basically drop to 0%. The boy chuckled and nodded. The things Shikaku could do with this. Or Jiraiya. Oh lord, the things your father could have done with this. Sarutobi was giddy as he shook the boy. Do you know how long it takes for information to get back to us from our farthest outposts? It can take up to a week. Now it can be done instantly. This is amazing. The Hokage was tempted to just place his hat on Naruto at that moment. How? What inspired you to make this? What prompted this? Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Actually, I invented this so I could send messages to Ino-chan. Huh? Yeah, we spend most of our mornings and afternoons apart, so I wanted to figure out a way for us to talk even when we're apart. Naruto smiled sheepishly. I never realized how helpful this system could be for the village. I guess you're right, it can be used in a lot of ways. Hiruzen could only stare at the boy. I guess that's why Kake and I looked so excited about this when I showed him. The boy chuckled, I thought he was just happy for me. Why you made this just so you could chat with Ino-chan during the day? Muttered the boy before nodding, yeah. Hiruzen felt his jaw drop. Her birthday is tomorrow. Naruto grinned, I was cutting it a bit close. It took me forever to think of the right gifts for her. He smiled up at the Hokage, do you think she'll like it? I made a pair of scrolls for us already. Mine is yellow and hers is purple, the same colors as our chakra colors. I'm sure she'll love it, my boy. Great. Naruto bounced on his feet, now I have 2 presents for her. I can't wait to show her. The Hokage didn't even hear about the second gift and just stared at his potential successor. Sarutobi wondered if he could just arrange a marriage between the 2 kids. If Ino inspired his grandson so much, their relationship must be protected at all costs. What could be next? Cellular regeneration because Ino got a paper cut? The ability to fly because Ino wanted to get to the academy faster? The possibilities were endless. What about when they reached puberty? What about when they finished puberty? Could a contraceptive seal be in the works? Would that even be possible? Ji-chan, are you alright? Between his security system making the entire village of Konoha and every one of their teams virtually indetectable and defended by Jinjutsu. His Jinjutsu blades enhancing their entire fighting force to a terrifyingly effective degree. And now his instantaneous communication system granting Konoha instant communication regardless of distance, Naruto had practically guaranteed their victory in the next war. Ji-chan? Naruto, muttered the old man. Yeah, asked the boy tentatively. Ji-chan is going to buy you as much ramen as you want today. A grin appeared on the old man, him feeling years younger, as if a decades-old weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Extra toppings and drinks, as many bowls as you want. Really? Asked the boy brightly. The Hokage nodded, anything you want. Thank you, Ji-chan. September 23rd, Ino Yamanaka's birthday, and a day forever ingrained into Naruto's mind. Ever since his best friend first invited him to her birthday party, that particular date had been poking at him daily, like a countdown to an explosion. She had told him 2 weeks before the day, happily giggling at him as if she did not just stun his world. He only had 2 weeks to figure out a gift for his princess, and he barely made it in time. Ino's birthday landed nicely on a beautiful autumn Saturday, and for the first time, Naruto found himself standing by the imposing gate of the Yamanaka clan estate. It was not the biggest stronghold in the village, but it was one of the oldest, dating back to the founding of Konoha. It sat next to the Nara clan home and across from the Akimichi compound. Stone walls lined the large property, each panel painted with the bush clover. Ino had told him that it stood for positive love, but upon the tall walls, it looked more like a war banner. Naruto imagined that back in the days of old, many war council would have taken place within those walls, but now, with flowers lining the entrance that held a large banner that read Yamanaka Ino's birthday party, it looked more like a fancy resort. Naruto-chan. Emiko Yamanaka pushed her way through the guards at the gate and rushed to him, pulling him into another warm hug. The boy had since grown used to his surrogate aunt's affections, having seen her multiple times since their meeting. He really liked his Emiko obesan. She would always bring nice treats and snacks for him and Ino whenever she would walk Ino to the park. For some reason, Ino would always seem annoyed at her mother's presence, but Naruto found himself looking forward to seeing the warm lady. He returned the hug, smiling against her sweet-smelling kimono. Hi, Emiko obesan. She pulled back and knelt to his height, but he noticed that he was already taller than her knelt height. Oh, you look so handsome today. Naruto smiled sheepishly, looking down at his new clothes. His Ji-chan had bought him a formal yukata for the occasion. It was blue and lined with white along the edges. It felt comfortable enough, but it was soft and delicate enough to feel hindered by it. He'd never be able to run or fight in it. Ino-chan will be very happy to see you. She's been waiting for you the whole morning. Naruto's eyes widened. I'm not late, am I? No, not at all. Ino-chan has been waiting for you since she woke up. It's the first time you visited our home, after all. He smiled. I'm excited to be here. Sweetheart, you can visit anytime you want. Emiko pulled Naruto into her home, beyond the guarded gate, and it looked like a different world. Sure, the outside was lined with some flowers, but the inside was like another flower field. Aside from the narrow path they were on, edge to edge, was filled with flowers. It was a cascade of colors that covered the bright green stems, decorating the gigantic courtyard like a painting. The winding road led them through two other gates, leading into the main house, and the garden never stopped. It was as if the compound was built around the flowers and was secondary compared to the natural beauty. Naruto wondered if any Yamanaka clan members had ever been born with pollen allergies. It would be very unfortunate. Here we are, Naruto-chan. The party was much more than what Naruto had expected. He had his own birthday parties before. The ANBU barracks had been decorated with balloons and tassels, and his siblings had prepared a meal that could feed hundreds, but never had his been so over the top. The entire main house was covered in decorations, ranging from balloon bundles to even more flowers. Most people were mingling in the courtyard of the main house, but activities clearly led into the home. There were lines of food stalls and game stalls. It looked like a small festival. More surprising was the number of adults around, which was most people present. There were only a few children his age he could see, and he'd met most of them before. Hey, Naruto. Emiko smiled and gestured him forward, and Naruto ran off with a smile. Hey, Choji. He ran over to the Akimichi heir, who was wrapped in his own yukata, munching on a skewer of meat. He grinned at his friend. It's good to see you. Same. Choji grinned back. There is some good food here today. These skewers are amazing. Let me show you around the goods. Before Naruto could reply, someone pulled Choji back. Choji, at least let Naruto breath before pulling him away. Shikamaru, dressed in his own clan colors and a yukata, yawned as he held onto Choji's sleeve. Hey, Naruto. What's up? Hey, Shikamaru, Naruto chuckled, why are you so tired? It's still morning. The Nara shrugged, autumn days make me sleepy. Don't worry, Choji added, winter days, spring days, and summer days also make him sleepy. He chuckled again, but looked around. Where's Ino-chan? She's making the rounds with Inoichiaja-san. Shikamaru pointed with his head, she's almost done with my parents. Naruto looked over to the most crowded group in the courtyard and only saw a bunch of tall adults. Stretching his chakra, he sensed a familiar signature in the middle of the group. He smiled, wondering if Ino was enjoying herself. She was surrounded by a lot of people, everyone towering over her. He wondered if there was a way for him to rescue her away, but under the watch of so many people, he doubted it. But it was a new goal to work towards. I know you want to see her, but she still has plenty of people to greet, added Choji. You'll see her once she's done. Naruto nodded. All the other children were gathered in one place, so Naruto looked at the next familiar face. It was Haruno Sakura, dressed in a very pretty pink kimono. She even had a pink blossom decorating her pink hair, and it was one of the cutest images Naruto had ever seen. From between Shikamaru and Choji, he smiled at her, and her face started to match her hair and kimono. Sakura-san, he exclaimed happily, walking closer to her, his friends following along. It's good to see you again. Her face now almost blended in with her hair and clothes. You look very pretty today, like an actual cherry blossom. Sakura's lips trembled, but she managed to give a shy smile. Hi, Naruto-san. You look very nice, too. He grinned, Sakura is just the perfect name for you. The girl blushed to her roots, but made him ponder his actions. It was definitely not a hot day, so it was not the heat. Perhaps Ino was right about him. Did his words or actions make the girl uncomfortable? Perhaps he was being too familiar? He didn't have enough information to deduce, but decided to retreat for the moment. He offered a small smile. Sorry, Sakura-san. Ino-chan told me I shouldn't talk like that to you, he muttered, scratching his head, or any other girl. It's okay, she added, waving him off. Ino-chan and you are pretty much the only two girls my age I've talked to before, so I never know how I should act. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. No, you didn't, exclaimed Sakura, waving both hands. Why, you're very sweet. I am just not used to boys talking to me like that. It's fine. You're very nice, Naruto-san. His eyes brightened and his smile grew. Really? He asked. That's a relief. I'm glad you think so. I would like us to be friends, so the last thing I want to do is offend you. Sakura looked away shyly. I'd like to be friends, too. Great. He turned to Choji and Shikamaru. I made another friend. He turned back to Sakura, his eyes wide in joy. This means I can call you Sakura-chan, right? Sure, I guess so. Sakura stammered under the stares of Choji and Shikamaru, now a shade of red that was darker than her hair. Anyway, I have to go find my parents. I'll see you all later, okay? Naruto nodded happily. Okay, see you later, Sakura-chan. He watched her run off, her pink hair bouncing with every step. It was indeed very cute. She looked like a lost puppy running through a blossoming field. He turned back to the boys, grinning. Making friends is easier than I thought. Choji watched blanking, munching on his food, but Shikamaru sighed. I don't get you, Naruto. Naruto turned to his friend confused. Sometimes you're like a genius, but sometimes you're just an idiot. Huh, he asked, an idiot? How? Shikamaru sighed, but Choji intervened. Naruto is not an idiot. The Akimichi patted Naruto's shoulder. You're just too nice for your own good. It also seems like you can't lie, or you're just too honest. And you have no idea the effect you have on some people, added the Nara. Ino-chan keeps telling me that, but I still don't get it. Shikamaru sighed. I'll explain it to you later. For today, just save all your nice stuff for Ino, and you'll be fine. Naruto nodded. Don't be stupid today, okay? Only compliment Ino. Even if you think another girl is pretty, keep it to yourself. He stared into Naruto's eyes, fully awake. Never let Ino hear you compliment another girl today. That is the biggest mistake you can make today. Naruto gulped and nodded. All right, but this seems needlessly complicated. Of course, it is, mumbled Shikamaru. Anything to do with girls is overly complicated. They are just so troublesome. The Nara glanced at Naruto. You're the one who seems to like being friends with them, so it's all on you. Naruto scratched the back of his head. But how come you two know so much about this stuff? Shikamaru sighed. Because we grew up with Ino and our mothers. Choji nodded. Yep, you'll learn soon enough. Hey, who are you? Naruto heard a loud voice break into their conversation, and he looked over to see an Inuzuka clan member. He bore the unmistakable traditional tattoos of the infamous clan, and twin red fangs on his cheeks. He also had a small puppy resting on his head, and he and his puppy wore matching yukatas, both in red. Hi. Naruto smiled and waved awkwardly. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Oh, replied the boy, I'm Inuzuka Kiba. Naruto smiled at the puppy who seemed to have just woken up, yawning on the boy's head before looking at him. And this is Akamaru. He's still very young, so he's still sleeping everywhere. Kiba looked at Naruto. I don't think I've ever seen you at these things before. The Inuzuka stepped closer to them, hands in his pocket. I don't think I've smelled you before at the academy either. He leaned closer to Naruto, sniffing him. Are you the son of some lord? Naruto backed away a little. No, I'm just Ino-chan's friend. I only met her this year, so this is the first time I've been to her birthday parties. Huh, okay. Kiba shrugged. We don't get a lot of kids our age at these things. For some reason, all our parents have these huge parties on our birthdays and only invite their friends. He looked around. I think I've seen or smelled most of these people here before. But I have no idea who they are. They just show up at most of these clan parties. I guess being the clan heads of Konoha means they have a lot of friends, answered Naruto, also shrugging. Shikamaru sighed, Kiba is in the same class as us. It's a little weird, but most children of clan heads in Konoha are the same age as us. He yawned, me, Choji, and Ino are the same age and in the same class. Kiba is also in our class, but he also has an older sister, Hana. He pointed over to a pretty girl, at least a few years older than them, standing by the drinks. She's the Inuzuka clan heiress. Naruto nodded along. Over there is the Hyuga, Shikamaru continued, making Naruto glance over, seeing the infamous white eyes of one of Konoha's most powerful clans. You see that girl at the front with all the adults? Naruto nodded. She's Hyuga Hinata, the clan heiress. She's also in our class. She's the one girl in our class that never talks. Choji started a new skewer as he spoke. I don't think I've ever heard her voice clearly. Even during attendance, she whispers to Iruka-sensei. Kiba joined Naruto's side, and over there, under the tree. Naruto glanced over in that direction. You see that man in the sunglasses and the kid in the sunglasses? That is the Aburame clan head and his son, Aburame Shino. He's in our class, too. He also doesn't talk. Choji wiped his mouth a little, all he does is sit in the corner and stare at bugs on his desk. Kiba shivered, yep, a lot of bugs. Choji finished his last skewer before adding, Sasuke isn't here, but he's in our class, too. So, basically, every clan heir or heiress is in our class. He shrugged, I've never thought about it before, but it is kinda weird. Shikamaru shook his head, don't go there, Choji. There are a lot of civilians here, too, said Kiba. I think Sakura and her parents are normal civilians. Naruto glanced over and quickly found a head of pink hair, standing next to two adults who must have been her parents. We used to see Ami and her friends here, but I guess they're not hanging out with Ino anymore. He shrugged. Which is kinda better because they're really loud when they're together and you never have any idea what they're talking about. Shikamaru nodded, yep, they're just worse in groups. Naruto smiled at the Nara, I don't think they're as bad as you keep saying. The Nara rolled his eyes, join us for one day at the academy, and I guarantee you'll change your mind. Whoa, exclaimed Kiba, look. A murmur settled the crowd as the Hokage walked in, tailed by a tall man and a beautiful woman. Naruto didn't know his grandfather was coming as well, but he understood, as his Jichan was technically the Sarutobi clan head along with being Hokage. The tall man looked familiar, and Naruto assumed him to be Sarutobi Asuma, his Jichan's son. He had never met the man when he was still hidden in the ANBU, but seeing him now, Naruto saw little resemblance between the father and son. He wondered why his Jichan didn't mention he was coming as well. They talked about this party the entire day yesterday over ramen. The old man had tested him on his etiquette and manners for hours but never mentioned coming along. Who's that woman with them? Asked Kiba. Choji shrugged, no idea. Probably the Hokage's son's girlfriend or something, muttered Shikamaru. They always use these occasions to introduce people to potential partners. Kiba grinned, Hokage-sama is so cool. He turned to the boys, did you guys know Hokage-sama is called the god of shinobi? They also call him the professor. He knows every single jutsu in Konoha. Naruto grinned, breaking from his thoughts, yep, he's the strongest. Kiba looked excited, one day, I'll also be the strongest and I'll become Hokage myself. Hey, you want to become Hokage, too? Naruto asked with a grin, me, too. It's always been my dream. Ho, ho. A rival, exclaimed the Inuzuka with a grin, I'll have you know I'm pretty strong. I'm the second best fighter in our class. You better be good yourself, or I'm leaving you in the dust. We'll see about that. Naruto smiled happily, feeling a sort of kinship with his new friend. I'm pretty strong myself. You better be. Kiba happily smirked, standing closer to Naruto. He then looked around, are your parents here, too? He asked, making Shikamaru wince. Naruto shook his head. No, my parents are dead. I'm just here as Ino-chan's friend. Kiba backed away with a flush. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. Don't worry about it, Naruto said with a smile. You didn't know. The puppy on Kiba's head seemed to bark at his owner, and the boy lowered his head. Hey, I'm serious. It's okay. Naruto grinned. Come on, what else can you tell me about these people? Kiba grinned. Oh, a lot. Happy birthday, Ino-chan. Ino smiled and gave a deep bow. Thank you, Hokage-sama. It is an honor to have you here for my 9th birthday. Sarutobi Hiruzen genuinely smiled at the girl. It had been at least a few years since he had last seen her, and it was clear she had matured. She now had the manners and grace befitting the Yamanaka heiress. Seeing her now, he couldn't help but imagine his grandson standing next to her. It had become very clear to the Hokage that Naruto and Ino shared a special bond. This girl had somehow wormed her way into the boy's heart and had completely taken over his mind, fitting of her Yamanaka heritage. Naruto had invented some of the most groundbreaking fuinjutsu ever created in the history of the elemental nations just to make this girl happy. She had been an inspiration to him, and together, they had practically secured the future of Konoha. Knowing Inoichi and Emiko, and how much they loved Naruto, Hiruzen pondered the possibility of proposing an arranged marriage. Ino was already 9 years old and Naruto was very close behind. Given that most arranged marriages were made in the womb, they were already well behind, he had to make haste. The son of the Yondaime Hokage, future clan head of the Uzumaki clan, and if fate willing, the future Hokage of Konoha sounds like more than a good match for the Yamanaka heiress. In due time, they could represent the new generation of Konoha. Yes, Sarutobi liked the thought of that. The honor is mine, Ino-chan. The arrival of the Hokage attracted most of the attention away from everyone else, and the clan heads of Konoha found themselves isolated for the first time for the day. It was not exactly subtle, but they slowly migrated toward one another. A toast of sake once every few steps, and before long, the Nara, Akimichi, Hyuga, Inuzuka, and Aburame leaders surrounded a small table, pretending to admire the flower arrangements. Shikaku sipped on his cup, resisting the urge to down the rest of it. Isn't this a pleasant day, he muttered, silently sighing at his company. Perfect day for a council meeting, it seems. Cut the bullshit, Shikaku. Sum was whispering, but her whispering was a bark. Who is that kid over there? The Nara glanced over despite the obvious. I believe that is one of Ino-chan's friends. I'd appreciate your swift honesty, Naradano. Hyuga Hayashi muttered quietly as he elegantly sipped on his drink, his white eyes pulled thin in a subtle glance. We are not exactly an inconspicuous group. If there are any secrets we are required to keep, please let us know now. Chiza sighed, it is a secret, but not one that can be well kept. Obviously, muttered the Nara, we all recognized him the moment we saw him. There aren't many blonde spiky-haired, blue-eyed boys running around Konoha these days. The resemblance is simply too strong to be a coincidence. The moment the boy is allowed his freedom around the village, everyone will know who he is. Indeed, came the dull voice of Aburame Shibi, there is scarcely a difference between him and his father. If I recall correctly, Minato even had a similar yukata he wore to these events. So, what, snarled Sum, the Hokage decided to hide my friend's son away from the village for years, but now that he knows he can no longer hide it, he lets the boy out. Her slitted eyes narrowed. What have they been doing to him all these years? Kept him in a cage? Why was he hidden from us in the first place? I assure you, Hokage-sama had his reasons. Shikaku finished his drink, feel free to ask him yourself later, but I agree with those reasons. He's done everything in his power to protect the boy, and he's raised the boy well. Hokage-sama basically adopted him as a grandson and he's grown into a well-adjusted and polite young man. We were angry as well, Sum, added Chiza, but after we met the boy, we knew Hokage-sama has done well. The Inuzuka glared at her peers, how long have you two known about him? Only a few months, answered Shikaku, call it serendipity, but the boy and Ino-chan are best friends. They met each other by chance and have been inseparable ever since. It clued us in on his existence, and we've managed to get to know him as the parents of his friends. Does Hokage-sama plan to reintegrate him into the village? Asked the Hyuga. The fact that the boy is here today is a huge hint. The Nara sighed, look at them over there. They all glanced over, seeing their children mingle. Clearly, Hokage-sama wants our children to befriend the boy. They're all the same age and before long, they will be the new faces of Konoha. This is just the first step. I'm sure we will see him more often around the village and our children. Sim sighed, it does look like they get along well. My son certainly looks like he's made a new friend. Will he join the academy? Asked Hayashi. The boy is already quite skilled, answered Chiza, far too skilled for the academy. Shikaku nodded, I'm sure the Hokage has been training the boy, or at least has overseen his training. There is no possibility of him allowing the son of Minato and Kushina to waste his potential. He smirked, we may be looking at a future powerhouse, my friends. Chiza smiled at Shibi and Hayashi, perhaps you two should introduce your children to the group as well. It seems Shino-kun and Hinata-chan are the only two kids not mingling over there. Shibi nodded silently. Perhaps I will, answered Hayashi, my daughter is the same age as the boy. Shikaku chuckled and downed another cup, don't get any funny ideas, Hayashi. Ino-chan has basically claimed the boy for herself. Chiza smiled as the rest of the group looked surprised, that boy has all of Minato's charms, but also all of Kushina's social awareness. He is a clueless charmer and if we leave him be, we'll hear wedding bells in a few years. Sum chuckled, now I really want to meet him. Ino looked absolutely stunning. It took another hour, but the army of greeting lords and leaders had finally subsided, and Naruto was rewarded with the sight of the birthday girl. His best friend had her hair pulled into an elegant, but also intricate bun, golden and bejeweled. Her natural beauty was only enhanced by the slightest hint of powder and shading, and she completed her transformation into a goddess with her golden, flowing kimono. She appeared to float over the Yamanaka flowers, and when she turned to look at him, her smile could have split the heavens. For the first time in the day, Ino managed to escape being the center of attention and made her way to her friends. Naruto returned her smile as she ran over to them, preparing to unseal his presents for her. He hoped she'd be happy. They were all gathered here. Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, Sakura, and himself were all waiting for Ino, ready to congratulate her. Happy birthday. He did not get to finish his greeting as Ino proceeded to wrap her arms around his torso before swiftly carrying him away. Ino had become quite strong, he thought. What the hell? Naruto heard Kiba exclaim as he saw Shikamaru shake his head. Naruto watched the fading faces of his new friends as he was taken away, his legs leaving the ground as Ino sped up. Seemingly determined to escape the lingering adults that infiltrated her special day. They soon left the windy morning light and Naruto saw ceiling tiles. They were indoors and were passing so many different hallways, Naruto couldn't possibly focus. Though, as Ino held him, he was rewarded with her delightful aroma, a subtle sweetness, delicate and fleeting. He wanted to stay in that moment longer, but after hearing a door slam behind them, Ino stopped and they dropped to the ground. Collecting himself, Naruto turned around until he found a panting Ino. She was resting against a bed filled with at least a dozen teddy bears, each a different color and dressed in different shirts. The entire room smelled of the same subtle sweetness as Ino, and looking around, he saw that each wall was decorated with a purple wallpaper marked with yellow flowers. Realizing, he smiled at her, you have a nice room, Ino-chan. Still panting, geez, that took forever. She grunted as she stopped leaning against her bed. Tu-chan promised it would not take as long this year, but it took an hour. I've already met all these people last year, so why do I have to greet them again this year? I'm sure they'd want to meet you again, Naruto muttered softly as he sat down next to her, you're the Yamanaka heiress after all. Ino huffed, pulling Naruto closer by his arm. I hate having these parties. For once, I just want to have one with just my friends. He chuckled, I'm pretty sure you just left all your other friends behind, Ino-chan. Ino blushed and yelled, I've been wanting to see you all morning. She hugged his arm, I've barely seen you this entire week. I had to go to our home alone every evening after class. I love it there, but it's lonely without you. She pouted, I missed you. Naruto felt his heart pound against his chest, but powered through. I'm sorry, but I was busy making you your birthday present. He smiled as her eyes widened, you only gave me 2 weeks' notice. I barely had enough time to finish. What did you get me? She asked, excitedly. He untangled himself from her and moved to sit in front of her, their knees touching. I made you 2 things. He grinned as he tapped his arm, unsealing 2 scrolls and 1 box. They both required a lot of research and new theories to make, so I almost didn't have enough time. I just finished these scrolls yesterday. Ino clapped her hands in glee, yay, what are they? These scrolls are made in pairs. He smiled as he handed her the purple one, this purple one is yours, and this yellow one is mine. They are for us to use when we're apart. Ino blushed as Naruto held onto her hands as she held the scroll. See this seal here? He asked, pointing to the roll of the scroll, add some of your chakra into it. Don't worry about the amount. I already filled 90% of it with my chakra, so you only need to add that last 10%. Alright, she muttered as she channeled her chakra through. Naruto smiled as he felt her purple chakra complete the seal, great, now do the same for this one. Okay, she whispered with a nod, focusing on sending her chakra into his scroll. There, done for both. Now the seal is complete and is unique. Each of these scrolls has a precise mixture of our chakra inside them, and will react to each other no matter how far away we are from each other. Ino tilted her head, I don't get it. Naruto smiled and backed away to the far side of the room, opened the scroll. She opened it and found a blank scroll. There's nothing written on it. He opened his scroll as she looked at hers, and he began to write. He watched as her eyes widened, looking between the scroll and up at him while he wrote. He smiled as she smiled, and his smile grew when he saw her blush red. Looking down at his scroll, he saw his words, you look incredibly beautiful today, Ino-chan. Even more than usual. Whatever I write on my scroll will appear on your scroll, and it's the same vice versa. Naruto tapped the roll of his scroll, if you want to erase what's on the paper, just the seal on the roll. And the chakra would be absorbed back into the seal. Ino watched as his message vanished, but her face was still flushed. She wrote back, thank you, Naruto-kun. You look very handsome, too. He grinned, thank you, Ino-chan. So, she muttered aloud, we can use this to talk whenever we want. Yep, at instant speeds. Whenever you're at the academy or home, just whenever we're not together, you can use this, and we can communicate. He returned to her side, sitting down close to her. We can talk about whatever we want, but because all our messages can be erased with just a tap on the seal. Ino looked up at him, you're so amazing, Naruto-kun. Not yet, I have one more gift. Naruto got on his knees and gave a box to Ino. This is another gift I made. It's easier to make than the scroll, but I think I like it just as much. Ino slowly opened the box and found a pair of silver rings. These rings were also made as a pair. I sealed my chakra into them already, so you don't have to. Naruto grinned as he held onto Ino's hand. Let me put this on for you. He watched her eyes widen and her face glow as he slipped the ring onto her index finger. A chakra expansion seal has been engraved on this ring, so when you channel chakra into it, a layer of my chakra sealed into the ring will cover your entire hand. It feels warm, she whispered, still staring at him. Now, when I wear the other ring. No, she interrupted, let me put it on for you. Naruto was confused, but shrugged, okay, sure. He waited for her to shakily slide his ring onto his finger, but the concept is the same for mine. When I send chakra into the ring, a layer of my sealed chakra forms over my entire hand, too. So when I do this, he said as he gently tightened his hand, trying to close his palm. Ino's eyes widened again, it feels like you're holding my hand. Yes. Naruto laughed excitedly, isn't chakra manipulation just the coolest thing ever? I can make so many cool things like this. He squeezed his hand tighter, now we can hold hands whenever we want, wherever we want. It doesn't even matter how far away we are. I can be in Kumo, for all we know, and these rings will still work the same. Ino stared at her hand, blushing to her roots. These rings will be connected together forever. Forever? She managed to whisper, do you mean it? Yeah, these will last forever. So, if I never take it off, she added, you'll never take yours off? He grinned, of course, I'll never take mine off. She moved her hand and closed her fingers, feeling them intertwine with his through chakra. Promise me you'll never take it off. He stared at her and smiled. Sure, I promise. I also promise, she whispered, looking down at her hand, I'll never take mine off either. He grinned and squeezed her hand warmly, cool, so we're now connected forever. She smiled shyly up at him, forever. Hailing from the mystical realm of Mount Myaboku, a mighty sage. His enemies tremble, all children rejoice, and all women squeal at the sight of his perfect visage. Behold, the all-powerful toad sage, Jiraiya. Naruto had heard countless stories about his godfather. His Jichan had often spoken about the famous feats of his student, his countless victories in 2 world wars. And more than once had Kakuyanai extolled the Sannin's contribution to the Yandame's strength and accomplishment, but seeing the man now, wild and uncontrolled, posing like a kabuki performer on top of an armored toad, Naruto knew Jiraiya-sama was far cooler than he ever imagined. The boy had been worried about finally meeting his godfather, the man who had been in his life since his birth, but had never met. Every other month or so, and always on his birthday, gifts would find their way to Naruto in the mouth of a toad. The boy had grown accustomed to random puffs of smoke revealing toads in his room and had grown to look forward to them. Small packages that ranged from fine-made clothes to toy kunai would pop up every once in a while, and it made the boy happy to see that he was never far from his godfather's mind. Still, Naruto had often wondered about what the man would be like after all, he had never met Jiraiya in person. After hearing so many stories, he expected a war-torn, aged hero, perhaps stoic and stern, not unlike Commander Ryu. But he was delighted to see that his godfather was funny, and so cool. Stunned silence, I see, exclaimed the giant man, towering over everybody atop his toad. Jiraiya, cried the Sandame, glaring at his student, how many times must I tell you, do not break in through my window and do not summon your toad indoors. Calm down, sensei. Jiraiya smirked as his toad vanished in a puff of smoke, what's one window for my entrance? He grinned as he looked down at Naruto, briskly walking closer. This is the first time I'm meeting my godson face to face, after all. He knelt in front of Naruto, still a head taller than the boy, it's nice to finally meet you, Naruto. Naruto stared at the man before bowing. Nice to meet you, too, he managed, Jiraiya-sama. The Sannin's grin turned into a small smile, you really are like Minato, he muttered softly, you look almost exactly like him. His grin returned and he placed a warm hand on Naruto's head, ruffling his hair. This haircut, too. Anyone who knew your father would recognize you immediately. He laughed, I know your mother would be pissed at your father. His genes have obviously been unfairly dominant in you. Naruto gave a small smile, yeah, I hear that a lot. Maybe on the surface, yes. The Hokage smiled at the sight, but Naruto's Uzumaki blood runs strong inside him. In terms of fuinjutsu, he is his mother's son. Really? Asked the Sannin happily, so you've taken an interest in seals, huh? I figured you'd like it. Your parents were both obsessed with it. He ruffled the boy's hair again, did you finish the books I sent you? They were a bit technical, but I'm sure you would have been able to work your way through them. Naruto nodded, those were only the introductory volumes. Once you're more familiar with seals, I can start you on the intermediate level stuff. Jiraiya, started the Sandame with a smile, I'm afraid Naruto here is already far beyond the introductory volumes. The Sannin raised a brow at his sensei, before looking back at his godson. He should be well beyond the intermediate level as well. Jiraiya stood to face his teacher, did I miss something? Naruto took to fuinjutsu like a fish to water, Jiraiya. The Hokage chuckled as he reached into his desk, laying out before his student all the inventions Naruto had created so far. Rather than learning old tricks, he is more of an innovator. If you test him about theories and concepts, I'm sure he will understand them, but at this point, he's branching off into his own style of fuinjutsu. Jiraiya approached the desk, his eyes scanning the multiple tags on the table. What is all this? This, exclaimed the old man excitedly, is the reason I called for your return. Naruto joined the two men at the desk, gently smiling, proud of himself for his hard work. With unprecedented motivation, our boy here has created his own original seals. Sarutobi lit his pipe, letting his student mull over the complicated tags, before continuing. His reasons behind creating these seals may have been a little immature or precocious, the old man muttered, making Naruto blush, but the potential for application behind them is incredible. Naruto watched as his godfather analyzed his work, and he felt oddly nervous. Jiraiya was a known fuinjutsu master. After his parents' deaths, the Sannin was perhaps Konoha's foremost expert in the field, and if there were any cracks in his systems, his godfather would find them. This is, muttered the sage, I've never seen anything like this. What is this seal array? I've never seen them arranged in such a way. He turned to his godson, Naruto, what are you trying to do here? Clearing his throat, Naruto stood tall. Those arrays are meant to manipulate the chakra, passing through them. They are meant to mold the chakra in a way that replicates the hand signs we use when using jutsu. What you see now is a seal tag for futon. Atsugai. The boy reached for the tag, placing it in his palm. By channeling enough chakra into the tag, one would be able to launch that jutsu from this tag without any seals. Of course, in this case, wind-natured chakra will be required. It also takes chakra control out of the question, added the Hokage, the seal pathways only allow the correct amount of chakra through. As long as enough chakra is channeled in, the jutsu can be cast flawlessly. Jiraiya stared at Naruto, you actually figured out a way to replicate the effects of hand signs and seals? Naruto nodded, yes, sir. This is not even scratching the surface of it, Jiraiya. The Hokage smiled at his baffled student, you've missed quite a bit in the last few months. Naruto has revolutionized the field of fuinjutsu. He's created the most effective and devastating fuinjutsu security system Konoha has ever seen. He's created the most advanced and efficient communication system we've ever seen. Jiraiya turned to stare at his blushing godson. He's working on creating a new set of ANBU armor, with all his new inventions equipped. Once ready, our ANBU teams will be virtually undetectable. Mobile genjutsu generators with the ability to relay any sort of information back to the village from anywhere in the world in real time. Sarutobi smirked, this is the beginning of a new era. Jiraiya, one in which Konoha has a massive advantage over every enemy nation. Jiraiya reached for one of the seals, how is this possible? With training and a lot of Kagebunshin. Sarutobi chuckled while puffing on his pipe, the boy has grown quite powerful himself. He's already amassed his own arsenal of fire and wind-natured jutsu, completely mastered the Kagebunshin, and has equipped himself with enough of his custom fuinjutsu to match him evenly. If not beyond most seasoned jonin in the village. Naruto looked down at his feet, embarrassed at the praise. All this in just 3 months, Jiraiya. Imagine what could happen in 10 years when Naruto reaches full maturity. Jiraiya shakily regarded the boy, unbelievable. I still need a lot of guidance, Jiraiya-sama, added Naruto softly. Best of all, continued the Hokage, with a smirk, drawing Jiraiya's attention. Naruto did all of this just to impress his little girlfriend. The Sannin's eyes widened as Naruto blushed. He invented the security system just so he could have more secret private time with the girl. He made the communication system just so he could talk to her when she's at the academy. The Hokage laughed merrily. She's done more for Konoha than most of our jonin, and she's still an academy student. Naruto blushed redder, she's my best friend. Ah, yes, the old man muttered, the best friend you think about all the time, talk to every day, and inspires your every invention. The Hokage nodded sagely. The best friend you can't stand to be away for more than a few hours, so you sneak into the academy to steal her away. Jiraiya's jaw dropped as he stared at the boy. I just want to make Ino-chan happy. Don't make me sound so weird. Naruto glared at his grandfather, and I teach her everything she'd miss at the academy. Why whispered Jiraiya softly, you're the one. Huh, asked the boy, pardon me? You're the one. Naruto jumped at the sudden yell as Sarutobi laughed to himself. Jiraiya dropped to his knees before Naruto and pulled him into a crushing hug. You're the one, Naruto, he cried loudly, tears streaming down his face. You're the chosen one. The child of prophecy. I know it. He swung the boy from side to side. To think, I was so worried about you being exactly like your boring father. I was so wrong. You're a real man, like me. He lifted the boy over his head and laughed. You're a real genius like Minato, but you do it for the right reasons. What are you talking about? Cried the boy. Jiraiya placed Naruto on the ground, hands clasped on his shoulders, giving him a wink. For girls. Huh? Jiraiya held one of Naruto's scrolls in his hand in tears. This security system. It's perfect for conducting research. My stealth has nothing on this. We can use this to infiltrate any hot springs undetected. Sarutobi-sensei, we now have a way. The Hokage tilted his hat in shame. Next time you come do research with me, we'll be armed with the latest technology. Jiraiya-sama, Naruto tried to add. I thought I was the only one. Jiraiya cried large tears. When I was your age, I was already enlightened. I knew my destiny. It was then I made it my mission in life to venture into the wonderfully dangerous world of women. But not even I ever got a girlfriend so young. You're clearly more talented than even me. He pulled Naruto into another hug. I can see you now, fully grown and powerful, surrounded by every beautiful woman Konoha. You can achieve the dream not even I or your father could. You could become the harem king. Okay, interrupted the Hokage, now you're going too far. Jiraiya pointed at his sensei, don't you dare hinder my godson's potential, sensei. Hiruzen sighed as he pointed at the boy struggling in Jiraiya's arms. Unfortunately for you, Naruto here only has eyes for one girl. In that regard, he is exactly like Minato. Now let him go before you suffocate him. No. Jiraiya dropped Naruto to the ground, scrambling to hold him still. Naruto, you're far too young to already settle for one person. You have literally your whole life to live. The man fixed the boy's hair and straightened his clothes. Come with me. I'll show you how wonderful the world can be. Oh, the caramel sweetness of Kumo, the deadly desert roses of Suna, the warm and wet nights of Aim. Oh. The misty morning afters in Kiri, the waterfall caverns in Taki, the ravenous, unsatiable beasts in Iwa. Oh. The never-ending, eternal river of pleasure in Nadeshiko no Sato. I must take you there. I actually have a bet to settle with their leader. With me, we can enter Nadeshiko heaven and never leave. Naruto stared at his godfather as the man panted for breath. I'm afraid I didn't understand any of that, Jiraiya-sama. I'm saying you must try everything before deciding on a favorite. How can you settle for a single girl when you haven't even left the village yet? You mean Ino-chan? Asked the boy. Yes, how can you know she's the one for you when you barely met any other girl? I don't really get it, but I'll always like Ino-chan the most. He grinned, I don't need anyone else. Jiraiya seemed to glare at the Yondame's portrait. Damn you, and your stupid genes. Huh, wondered the boy. Sensei. Jiraiya turned to the Hokage, I demand you let me take my godson with me. I must show him the vastness of this wonderful world. Granted. Exclaimed both Jiraiya and Naruto. Really? The Hokage sighed, this is why I've summoned you back to the village, Jiraiya. I am assigning you a new mission, one where Naruto will be your assistant. Naruto's eyes widened, a real mission? Yes, answered the old man with a smile, Jiraiya, I task you to locate and retrieve Senju Tsunade. I've given her far too much leeway over the years. She is desperately needed in the village, and it is about time she returns. Jiraiya released the boy and turned to face the Hokage. I don't care how you do it. Give her whatever she wants within reason, but if she refuses, I'll have no choice but to drag her back here myself. Are you ready for this, sensei? Sarutobi nodded at his student, absolutely. We are entering a new era, and she is needed. Jiraiya smirked, all right, then. I am going outside of the village, muttered Naruto in awe, you're allowing me? Really? The Hokage smiled at his grandson and beckoned him closer. Reaching into his desk, Hiruzen reached for the box he had kept untouched for 8 years. He had often wondered when he would get the chance to open it, and over the years, he had anticipated that day in excitement. Now that it had come much earlier than expected, he was more than ready to pass it on. Congratulations, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. The Hokage placed the box on his desk and opened it. You are now officially a genin of Konoha no Sato, an official ninja of our village. Naruto's eyes widened at the sight. Here's your official Hitayate. The boy stared at the shiny and polished metal emblazoned with the Konoha leaf. This one here belonged to the Yondaime Hokage, your father. I've kept this here ever since he died and have been waiting for you to take it. The Hokage gently pushed the box to the boy, you're now ready, Naruto. I am, he whispered. The old man nodded, you are. He shakily reached for the Hitayate, gently brushing his fingers across the metal. This belonged to Tuchan? Sarutobi nodded in silence. You're giving it to me? There is no one else worthy of it, my boy. Hesitantly, Naruto took the Hitayate into his hands, staring at it. Breathing out, he looked up at the Hokage and then, to Jiraiya, both men smiling and nodding at him. Smiling back, he slowly lifted the headband to his forehead, feeling shivers down his spine as he tightly wrapped the blue bands around his head. Tying a tight knot, he pulled it tighter, feeling the pressure on his head. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Naruto stared at his leader, I'll wear it with pride. The Hokage nodded, I know you will, Naruto. Jiraiya patted the boy's head, smiling widely at the sight. It looks good on you, kid. Naruto couldn't help but grin, tears tickling his eyes. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama. Hokage leaned back on his chair and smiled, you shall both leave as soon as you are able. Return home, gather all necessary supplies, and say your goodbyes, Naruto. This will not be a short trip. He turned to Jiraiya, I don't know where Tsunade is right now, but if possible, bring her back within a month. As much as I want Naruto to see the real world, I don't want him away from the village for too long. Jiraiya smirked, don't worry, sensei. I'll take good care of my godson. The Hokage handed Jiraiya a file, this is a full report on Naruto's current skills and abilities. It also includes detailed explanations of his creations and future projects. Memorize the information inside and destroy the file. This cannot fall into anyone's hands. I'll see to it, sensei. Naruto, continued the Hokage, while I have no doubt you will be able to handle yourself in most situations, I want you to merely observe on this mission. Do not engage in any combat situation unless absolutely necessary. Leave the hard work for your godfather. Naruto nodded along, back straight. Take your time and watch your step. Assume danger is everywhere and everyone is a potential enemy. Do not let your guard down whatsoever. I believe after so many years with the ANBU, you'll be able to do this with ease. I will, Hokage-sama. Naruto was shaking in excitement, I will not fail this mission. Sarutobi chuckled, I know you won't. He puffed on his pipe, while you're gone, I don't want you to stop working on your fuinjutsu. Take advantage of your time with Jiraiya. I'm sure there are still many things you can learn from him. Naruto gave a nod, I'll be sure to work hard, Hokage-sama. Good, the old man answered before he looked at his student, I leave Naruto in your hands, Jiraiya. Please take good care of him. Jiraiya smirked, with my life, sensei. Very well, said the Hokage with finality, dismissed. Hi. Naruto sped through the streets of Konoha with the brightest grin on his face, blurring through the shuffling afternoon crowds with his usual precision. He was officially a shinobi, an official ninja of Konoha no Sato. By all definitions, he was now an adult and could do whatever he wanted. With a fist pump, he jumped onto the nearest roof with a cry of joy, disappearing with a shuinpa. Within seconds, he was back at the ANBU barracks, slipping through the hidden entrance like a shadow. He had to quickly pack before meeting Jiraiya at the main gate, and he barely had more than an hour to say his goodbyes for a month. Abruptly stopping in his room, Naruto dashed for his closet. As quickly as he could, he sealed 7 sets of folded clothing into the seal on his right forearm. In his bathroom, he sealed all nightly necessities into the seal on his right upper arm. His brush and paper were already sealed, but he quickly sealed all his offensive seals into the seal on his left wrist, before he sealed his katana into the seal on his right wrist. He nearly ripped off his sweaty clothes, before jumping in for a quick shower. Foregoing the towel, he dried himself with a quick wind funnel. Diving into his clothes, Naruto slipped into a pair of standard edition ANBU utility pants, stepped into the ANBU Model 9 combat boots, and dressed himself in a black fishnet shirt. Before covering most of his seals with a white, high-collared jacket. Stepping in front of the mirror, he made sure his hatayate was worn properly, and tightened the knot one last time. He grinned at himself before vanishing with a shuinpa, blurring into the ANBU cafeteria. "I'm going on a mission, everyone." At least 3 dozen of his siblings were staring at him as the room fell silent. He grinned as he showed off his new hatayate. "Hokage-sama just made me an official genin, and I am going on my first mission. I'll be back in about a month." Everyone was still staring at him in silence. "I'll be back soon. Wish me luck." "Hold on." For shadows fell upon the boy as he was hoisted into the air. What is the meaning of this? "And Nanane, I can't breathe." Yugao snatched her brother from Nana's arms and proceeded to hug him herself. "No, absolutely not. This has to be a joke, right?" She hugged him tightly against her chest, pulling him as close as possible. "You're still a child, Naruto. There is no way you're going on a mission." "And did you say you'd be gone for a month?" demanded Shiki, her glasses almost melting. "There is no way in hell will I let that happen." Mizu snarled as she pulled Naruto into her arms, hugging him tightly to her chest. "This can't be happening. No, it's way too fast. Naruto is just a child. He can't be strong enough to be a genin yet." "No," whimpered Nana with tears in her eyes. "No, I can't let our baby go like this." "Ladies," came the hesitant voice of Ko, "please, at least let Naruto breathe. I'm sure if you let him talk, he can explain himself." Kakashi and Tenzo stood beside Ko, all with their hands surrendered in the air. "Naruto, please explain yourself." Naruto finally broke free and was catching his breath. "Jiji-chan made me a genin this morning. Jiraiya-sama is back and he's taking me on my first mission." He backed away from his sisters when they started to leak killer intent. "I'm just going as his assistant and I'm only allowed to observe. Jiraiya-sama will be doing all the work. They just want me to start seeing the real world. It's not dangerous." "Not dangerous," cried Shiki. "Do you have any idea what's out there?" Nana pulled Naruto by his shoulders and hugged him from behind. "No, no, 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 Niu. With Jiraiya-sama no less," cried Mizu. "He's the worst possible person to teach Naruto about the outside world. I don't want my little brother to turn into a pervert." Yugao glanced at her captain. "Did you know about this, senpai?" Kakashi shook his head with a sigh. "No, but I can't say it's a surprise." He felt the room's eyes on him. Naruto is already stronger than every graduating genin of the past decade. His exact skills, I can't say, but he will be able to handle himself. If Hokage-sama allowed him on this mission, I'm sure it's nothing too dangerous. Plus, with Jiraiya-sama there, no one would be able to harm him. Nana kissed Naruto's hair, but still, he's still so young. Tenzo smiled. "I'm sure it'll be fine. He has to go on his first mission sometime." Naruto nodded, smiling at his brother. "This will take a month, you say? That's quite a long mission time frame. Are you allowed to tell us the mission parameters?" "Yes," Naruto answered. "Ji-chan said I can tell you guys. Is it dangerous? Asked Shiki. No, not at all, cried Naruto. Jiraiya-sama and I are going to bring Tsunade-sama back to Konoha. She's a Konoha ninja, so there's no danger at all. Silence fell over the room again as everyone stared at Naruto. Tsunade-sama, muttered Shiki. Not dangerous? Continued Mizu. Kakashi sighed, rubbing his head. As violent as Tsunade-sama can be, she will not hurt a child. Jiraiya-sama may be in danger, but Naruto will be fine. If anything, Hokage-sama is sending Naruto with Jiraiya-sama because he's the one person she won't hurt. Yugao knelt by Naruto, kissing his hair. Make sure you don't do anything to anger Tsunade-sama, okay? Be on your best behavior and treat her with your utmost respect. Naruto grinned, I will. Yugao, cried Nana, you're not letting him go, are you? Yugao sighed and stood up, we're not going against Hokage-sama's orders. His other sisters quieted down. Naruto is an official genin now, so he is fully under Hokage-sama's command. Since this is only a retrieval mission of a friendly target supported by one of the Sannin, I'm sure Naruto will be fine. She smiled at her friends, we may not like it. But Naruto-chan will eventually become an active ninja. Might as well start now. Nana's lips trembled, my Naruto-chan is growing up so quickly. Tenzo chuckled and leaned down to his brother, Naruto, have you properly packed everything? Yes, sir. Naruto saluted, I prepared fully as per ANBU requirements. Attaboy, praised Tenzo as he ruffled Naruto's hair. What about your extra supplies? Asked Kakashi, you have all your seals with you. Naruto nodded, I do. I have everything I'll need. Kakashi sighed and pulled the boy into a hug, all right then. Be careful out there and be sure to stay close to Jiraiya-sama. Naruto hugged his brother back, I will, Kaka-ni. Ko ruffled his hair, and don't get distracted by new things. There are many things you'll see outside of the village you've never seen before, but remember to always focus on the mission and don't let your guard down. Naruto smiled up at Ko, I will, Ko-ni. Alright, you've all taken up enough of his time. The stoic tone of ANBU Commander Ryu cut through the room and split the gathered crowd. Naruto has been assigned an official mission by Hokage-sama. None of you will do anything to delay the completion of this mission. He stepped in front of Naruto, towering over his student. Naruto, you've grown up the last few months. I know your strength better than most, and I'm sure you'll be able to handle this. Go out there and make us proud, Chibi. Naruto saluted his teacher, I will, Commander. Nana wiped her eyes, my Naruto-chan. Naruto turned to hug each of his sisters and kiss them on their cheeks, giving all of them the brightest smile he could muster. He turned to the rest of his siblings, rubbing his new hatayate, and saluted. I won't let any of you down. His sibling all smiled at him proudly as Commander Ryu nodded, may the will of fire warm you on your journey, Naruto. Fully prepared and packed, Naruto left the barracks and stepped into the busy streets of Konoha. It was late afternoon and the sun was beginning to wane. According to his quick calculation, the academy should have ended already, and by their conversation just the night before, Ino should be helping out at her family store. Naruto sighed and started walking towards Yamanaka Flowers. As excited as he was, his smile quickly faded at his new thought. He didn't know how to tell Ino about his departure. Ever since the day they met, seeing her again had been what he most looked forward to. Being able to see her every day had been the biggest pleasure in his life, and he had worked harder than he'd ever worked just to make that a reality. Now, he was about to be gone for at least a month, 30 full days of not seeing his purple flower princess. At least they had their scrolls and rings. They could still talk whenever they want and he'd be able to hold her hand at all times. It was better than nothing. For once, Naruto was walking at a casual pace through the streets, and in his turmoil, he failed to see how everyone around him was looking at him in shock and awe. Dozens of heads, street after street, turned to watch his spiky head of blonde hair walk by, all of them glancing at the Yondame's head upon the mountain. There were whispers around him, people gasping in shock, some smiling, bursting with hope, but the boy saw none of it. It wasn't until he reached Yamanaka Flowers that he looked up. The chimes on the door rang as he walked into the store. "Welcome to Yamanaka Flowers," came his favorite voice in the world. "Naruto-kun." Ino's eyes brightened when she saw him and she ran around the counter towards him, smiling brighter the closer she got. In her presence, he couldn't help but smile, and he wrapped his arms tightly around her as she barreled into his arms. She giggled as he slightly lifted her up, holding her close. "Ino, at least try to refrain yourself." Yamanaka Inoichi smiled as he leaned against the counter. "You're working, you know?" "Oh, leave her alone, honey." Emiko smiled with a hand on her cheek. "They're so sweet together." Ino ignored her parents and smiled up at Naruto. "What are you doing here?" "I thought we weren't meeting up until later." Naruto smiled at her, but saw Inoichi and Emiko's smiles fade and walked towards him as he pointed to his Hotaiate. "Hokage-sama just gave me this," he said, looking at Ino as she looked up at his forehead, blankly staring at it before her eyes widened. "I'm a genin now." "So soon," came the concerned voice of Inoichi as he approached the boy. "And why so sudden?" Emiko clutched onto her husband's arm, looking up at him concerned. "Hokage-sama allowed this?" Naruto nodded at them. "Yes, he granted me the rank today." "How?" whispered Ino, staring up at the Hotaiate. "I've been training a long time for this, Ino-chan." Naruto smiled down at his best friend. "I guess my training has paid off." "But," muttered Ino, "we're still so young. We aren't supposed to be genin yet." Naruto tilted his head. "I'm just a bit ahead of schedule. I'm sure you'll join me in no time." Inoichi knelt in front of the children as Ino pulled back from her hug, still holding onto Naruto's hand. "Naruto, I'm proud you're already so strong, but you are indeed still very young. Are you sure you're ready for this?" Naruto looked at his worried surrogate aunt before smiling at his surrogate uncle, rubbing his Hotaiate with a smile. "This belonged to my father." Inoichi and Emiko's eyes widened. "Hokage-sama kept this for me all these years. He wouldn't give it to me if I weren't ready." He tightened his hands around Ino's. "I came by to show you this, but I'm also leaving for my first mission today." Their eyes widened. "I'm leaving in under an hour. I had to say goodbye before I go." "What?" stammered Ino. "You're leaving? For how long?" Naruto smiled sadly. "At least a month." The adult's eyes widened. "Of course, I can be back sooner than expected, but it's been estimated to take a month." "No," whispered Ino. "You've already been assigned a sensei?" asked Inoichi, "and a team?" Naruto shook his head. "No, no official sensei or team yet." Emiko joined her husband in kneeling by the kids. "Jiraiya-sama returned to the village today." Inoichi flinched as Emiko gasped. "He's agreed to take me along with him for his next mission. I'm to be his assistant and observe the real world. I won't engage in any combat situations unless absolutely necessary. Jiraiya-sama will handle everything, I'm just there to watch and learn." Emiko nodded, reaching for her husband's arm. "All right, okay," she muttered, looking slightly panicky. "Jiraiya-sama is here. Jiraiya-sama will be able to protect you." Inoichi frowned. "Is anyone else going with you?" "No, just me and Jiraiya-sama." Naruto smiled at them. "He's my godfather. He's been watching over me my whole life, even though I've never seen him in person until today." He chuckled. "I do want the chance to get to know him. Also, he's the one who taught my father. Maybe he can teach me something cool, too." Inoichi's smile strained. "Yes, Jiraiya-sama will be able to teach you many things. Remember to always stay close to Jiraiya-sama, okay?" Naruto smiled at Emiko and nodded. "It can be very dangerous out there. It's not like here in the village. Be careful and never wander away by yourself." "I won't," he answered, "I promise." "What are you all saying?" whispered Ino. "You can't go." "It's only for a month, Ino-chan," he whispered back. "I'll be back in no time." "It doesn't matter how long it is." Ino had tears in her eyes, and it made his heart ache. "It's too dangerous out there, and you're too young. We're supposed to be students, not an active ninja." Iruka-sensei keeps telling us to never leave the village and that it's filled with our enemies outside. She pulled him into a tight hug. You can't go. No. Naruto rubbed her back softly. I'll be fine, Ino-chan. Inoichi rubbed his daughter's hair. Naruto is stronger than you think, princess. The boy nodded along. Do you know who Jiraiya-sama is? You may have learned about him at the academy. He's one of the legendary Sannin. He's one of the most powerful shinobi in the entire world. Naruto will be safe with him. No, she cried into Naruto's chest. Emiko wiped her tears away. Ino, Naruto-chan is a genin now. He will be going on missions. No. Ino sobbed, I won't let you go. I promise I'll be safe, Ino-chan. He smiled into her hair as he slowly pulled away, rubbing her shaking arms as he did, his heart aching as he fought against her hug. I really am stronger than you think. This is just a simple mission. I'm basically just traveling around with Jiraiya-sama. He extracted himself and held her hands in front of him, winking at her. I'll bring you back as many gifts as I can. I don't need any gifts, she cried, just promise me you'll come back safely. Naruto nodded, I will. I promise, Ino-chan. Emiko kissed the top of his head, tears welling in her eyes. Come back home safe, Naruto-chan. I will. Inoichi ruffled his hair with a smile. We're really proud of you, Naruto. He grinned, thank you, Ajisen. Naruto looked at Ino, who was still crying and sobbing, but kept looking at her until she finally met his eyes. Come back to me, Naruto-kun. You know I will, Ino-chan. Naruto stepped away and slowly backed out of the door, smiling as Ino was wrapped protectively in her parents' arms. He stared into her eyes even with tears falling. She was still the most beautiful girl in the world. He would miss her more than anything, more than anyone. He promised himself he'd do anything to return to her, be it on this mission or any other missions he would accept in the future. She was his anchor and his home, and he would always return to her. Activating his ring, Naruto held onto Ino's hand as he walked away, holding onto it tightly, trying to ease her trembling. He held it all the way to the gate. He held it when Jiraiya greeted him. He held it until she finally stopped trembling. This was all for now. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it and that you will be back for more. Please like, share and subscribe. See ya.